Good afternoon and welcome to Straight Talk, where you learn the inside information for doing business with our corporate members. I'm Lasagna Berry, the CEO of McPherson Berry & Associates and the NBIC Chair for CVMSDC. I want to personally welcome you to today's series where we're with Andrew Greer, the Supply Diversity Lead for Duke Energy. Andrew has been with Duke Energy for some time. But the key things for you to know about Andrew Greer is that he's the Supplier Engagement and Diversity Manager for Duke Energy Renewables and Transmissions for the supply chain strategy. During his tenure with the company, he has served in various capacities, including the supply chain management, information technology, and human resources. Those experiences and passion for inclusion has served as a catalyst to shape diversity initiatives at Duke Energy. So today, without further ado, I'm getting ready to turn it over to Andrew, where he will start and share with you the insights to doing business with Duke Energy. Andrew? We can hear you, Andrew.
Okay, yeah, greetings and welcome to Straight Talk, and I really appreciate you taking your time to join us to learn more about Duke Energy and exciting things happening within our company. Duke Energy is building a smarter energy future, and we know that we rely on the minority business community to help us do just that, to build a future for generations to come and how energy will be distributed throughout our footprint. At Duke Energy, before we get started, Duke Energy, we really value safety and the safety of our employees, our suppliers, as well as our customers. And our suppliers play a very pivotal role in that safety. I ask that you, when go out and just get an idea of what it takes to get you positioned to be safe as a company, to provide those products and services to Duke, to understand how we operate. We use a tool called Avetta to approve suppliers. And as a part of that, we work very closely helping our companies understand how to be safe and work safely. We'll go ahead and get started with our presentation here, looking at Duke Energy and some fast facts about the company. We are one of the largest electric utilities in the United States, and we serve basically 7 states. 6 of those states are electric, one being totally natural gas, and that would be Tennessee. We'll talk more about that. Then we have non-regulated operations across the United States using wind, solar, biomass. We have roughly about 7.3 million customers, and we measure customers here in terms of meters. On average, there's about 3.5 individuals per household that we service. So as you can see, we're probably more likely in the neighborhood of about 30 million customers overall. About 1.5 million gas customers in addition to that. We operate generating assets, fossil, hydro, nuclear, solar, and wind. We have roughly about 28,000 employees. In our supply chain management, we manage about $13 billion spent on an annual basis. We spend about $1.6 billion with diverse suppliers, another $4.8 billion with local suppliers. And we have an award-winning supplier diversity program that has received recognition from NMSDC, Edison Electric Institute, VetBiz, Black Enterprise, and a number of other media outlets. There are 4 key takeaways I want you to receive from this presentation today. I want you to understand who we are as a company, what we do, the challenges we face, and the opportunities that are available because of those challenges. So we'll go on to our next slide here, and we'll look at our regulated operations. So this is a part of who we are. So Duke Energy is broken down to various subsidiaries. Our largest subsidiary is Duke Energy Carolinas, and that is mostly the western portion of North and South Carolina, and includes the markets of Charlotte, Durham, Greensboro, Winston-Salem, and in South Carolina, Spartanburg, Greenville. Those are the major markets, and that's where we have a number of facilities in those markets. Next is Duke Energy Progress. That's the eastern portion of North Carolina and South Carolina. So that encompasses Raleigh, Wilmington, North Carolina, Florence, South Carolina, but also includes Asheville, North Carolina, kind of a strange configuration. That's from our legacy operations with Progress. And then there's Duke Energy Florida. Our main markets there is the Orlando, Tampa market. We don't serve those cities directly, but we have all the outlying areas beyond Orlando, Tampa, all the way to the Florida Panhandle. Then we have Duke Energy, Ohio, and Duke Energy, Kentucky. This is really the greater Cincinnati area where we have gas operations as well, providing electricity and gas to those customers in that region. And then we have Duke Energy, Indiana. We're the largest electric utility in the state of Indiana, with our locations in the greater Indianapolis area, and we provide power to the majority of the state, all the way down to the Kentucky state line, close to Louisville. And then there's our Piedmont Natural Gas subsidiary, providing distribution gas operations in North Carolina, South Carolina, but we also have operations in Nashville, Tennessee. So those are our regulated operations throughout our footprint, and we serve our customers proudly in those areas, providing energy-related services. So next we're going to talk about our renewable projects. Next slide, please. On renewable projects, mainly we have solar, wind, and battery storage across the country. As you look at this map, you can see, maybe you didn't have an idea that Duke was such a large entity all across the country, serving in various capacity, providing energy-related services. And most of those services are renewable-based. This is one of the fastest growing parts of our business, is our renewable sector. There's a strong demand for clean energy by our customers in our regulated territories as well as our unregulated territories. We recruit businesses to locate in our regulated areas as well as in non-regulated areas. And what we do, we go after companies like Google as well as Facebook, who build facilities with large IT servers that uses a huge amount of energy and needs to be cooled. Those are excellent customers for us, but they are very demanding in what they're looking for in terms of those energy services. They want clean energy. They don't want energy from coal and other fossil producing plants. So we must meet that demand. We attract those companies in our 7-state territory, but we also go out to meet them wherever they want to locate. Maybe the current provider in another state can't provide those services. We'll build a wind facility or a solar array to support their needs. Okay. And Duke has partnered with a number of entities when it comes to solar. One of the projects that we are currently involved now is with Florida A&M University, historically Black College and University, located down in Florida, where we're building a solar farm on their property. We're selling that energy from the solar farm, and we also are paying the university for use of that land. So it's a win-win situation for Duke as well as for the university. Okay. We also have other projects where we go after with large companies like AT&T and other large telecommunication companies, where they are building projects across the country, telecom projects where they want clean energy for that. And part of their demand is that you bring diverse suppliers as part of that mix, but you also provide renewable sources of energy in the way of wind or solar. Opportunities in the renewable sector include construction, the maintenance when it comes to solar panels. Those panels need to be cleaned. Vegetation management, the grass needs to be mown and maintained around those panels. We also have substations that need to be built. They need to be built around those panels as well to provide that power. And a similar requirement and request for wind generation as well. Let's talk about corporate responsibility and what that means to Duke Energy. Corporate responsibility, our corporate responsibility sourcing strategy helps Duke Energy improve the lives of our customers and the vitality of the communities we serve. We consistently incorporate these three factors in our sourcing selection process. And those three factors are supplier diversity. That includes the use of diverse suppliers. We follow pretty much the Small Business Administration model of working with minority, women, veterans. That also includes service-disabled veteran-owned businesses, as well as hub-zone businesses. And the next area is local economic impact. We want to have an impact on the communities that we serve. And that impact, it goes far beyond just doing business with suppliers who are local, but also we know that it creates jobs. There are factors that for every dollar we spend in a community, X number of jobs are created by us being there. So we definitely keep an eye on our dollars that we spend in the communities that we serve. The last portion of corporate responsibility is environmental stewardship. And so we're looking at suppliers who are environmentally responsible in their operations and the products and services that they provide to us. So we're looking for suppliers who can provide products that use less water, cleaner air in manufacturing these products. Any way that the environment is not harmed by the product or service that you offer to Duke Energy. That is very important to us as well. Corporate responsibility also looks at ways to overall improve the vitality of those communities. We're working currently now with the North Carolina Utility Commission on a new initiative called Hire NC. Hire NC looks at contracts greater than $700,000. We're intentional for projects in the state of North Carolina that North Carolina-based suppliers get an opportunity at that. And there's also a focus there on minority and women-owned businesses as a part of that as well, in addition to veteran-owned businesses. So we're definitely looking to incorporate local businesses who are also diverse. So let's get to the meat of the straight talk conversation. What do our stakeholders look for? And stakeholders, I mean our customers, our regulators, community and investors. I've talked about some of this already, but we're in a changing landscape in terms of energy services and what our customers' expectations are, and we must meet those expectations. Our customers want lower costs. They want greater control over their bills. They want clean energy. They want us to be a good steward of the environment. Our investors want those things, but they also want a return on the investment. We must remain profitable. We must operate efficiently, operational excellence, reliable energy for our customers. We also must provide employment opportunities. And of course, local and diverse businesses must be a part of that equation. So from a supplier standpoint, what are we looking for? We're looking for suppliers who operate safety. I can't say it enough. It's imperative that you must operate safety if you come onto a Duke Energy property or you service our customers, because we want we want your supplier, your employees, as well as our employees, to go home safely each day. We're looking for companies that are competitive, those who are outstanding performers, those who can bring innovation to the table, and also those who are risk adverse, that you operate efficiently, as well as that you are financially sound. So how do you best position your company to win bids at Duke Energy, to win a contract? I guess it starts with building relationships. I think it starts with having information on the company that you seek to do business with, understanding where their pain and pressure points are. You got to submit quality bids, answer all the questions as part of that bidding process. Even if you have some innovative ideas, add those in addition after answering all of the questions. We need you to exceed performance expectations. And I can't say enough about having an updated website. In many cases, your company may be viewed through the information you have online. You may never get a call directly, but I think it is imperative that you have the necessary information online that represent who you are and what your capabilities are as a supplier. You must understand the direction in which the company is going, and that's what this session is about, to understand where Duke is going, what we're doing, and how you can interact with us, the issues we face, as well as some of the solutions to the problems that we have. So next, let's talk about our supplier engagement and diversity team. That commitment to diversity starts at the top with our CEO, Lynn Good. And 2 years ago, roughly 2 years ago, Lynn made the announcement of a new Chief Procurement Officer, and her name is Melody Birmingham. Melody has been very inspirational in terms of driving diversity initiatives at Duke from a supply chain standpoint. Melody manages $13 billion of spend for the company. She has been identified recently or from a media standpoint by Black Enterprise as one of the most powerful women, African-American women in the country, managing $13 billion of spend. In the past, she's led transmission and distribution operations. She's worked with GM. She was formerly our Indiana state president, and it's been a pleasure to have her in this role to help drive supply diversity. She worked for another utility in the past called Exelon out of the greater Chicago area, and there she led a supply diversity initiative. So she understands the importance of supply diversity, of local economic impact, and driving those initiatives at Duke Energy. So let's start out with our team members. On the presentation slide you see in front of you, let's start out with first member there, Bernice Walker. Bernice is on a call today. And Bernice manages our Midwest operations. Externally, she is our point of contact for the Ohio Council, as well as the Mid-States Council. Internally, Bernice works with all of our supply chain stakeholders for our needs for generation, and that includes fossil, hydro, as well as nuclear. And she's also responsible for our gas requirements in getting diverse suppliers involved. The next member on the slide, going left to right, is Tanja Graham. Tanja manages our Florida operations and is currently a board member on the Florida State CVMSDC organization. Her primary focus is our enterprise needs. When we say enterprise, those are commonly used products and services throughout our company. So order computers, staffing, you name it, things of those sort, when it's used by all organizations. That's our enterprise supply chain. But she's also responsible for our major projects. If there's plants being built or major construction projects going on, she's our point of contact for that too. And that's across our entire footprint. Although she's located in Florida, it does apply to the entire footprint. And so the same thing applies with Bernice when it comes to generation. It is across the entire footprint. Next up is Brian Umstead. Brian is our supplier engagement manager. What Brian's responsibility is really working with those strategic suppliers, making sure that they deliver the products and services we need on time, on budget, and making sure that they live up to the expectations that we sign them up for. A pivotal role that Brian has is working with those large primes to make sure that they use diverse suppliers in providing those products and services to Duke. Our second tier program is a major part of that $1.6 billion in diversity spend. Subcontracting plays a major role in that. And so we would definitely rely upon Brian to help us with that effort. And that's his primary role. He also conducts quarterly business reviews with these companies to say, okay, on a quarterly basis, you said you were going to do X amount of dollars with diverse suppliers, and did you perform that? Was your operations up to what the requirements called for? So we definitely appreciate the services that Brian brings to our organization. And on the far right, that is my picture, and I'm responsible for transmission distribution, and transmission and distribution is power coming from the plant to the end user. So you think about the wire and the cable and the substations and the towers. That's my primary focus. In the Carolinas, I've been actively involved externally with the CVMSDC organization for a number of years. I have served previously on the board of directors, and that has been a very fulfilling relationship with the organization. So that's our supplier engagement and diversity team. So let's talk about the major projects that are currently occurring in the Carolinas and what our opportunities are. Grid modernization is another area that we're spending billions of dollars over the next 10 to 15 years to modernize our grid. If you think back maybe 15, 20 years ago when the telecom business was going through this, where the mobile were breaking up and telecom was really revolutionized. Well, the same thing has been occurring in our industry as well. So we're modernizing our grid. In the past, you would have maybe a car or truck strike a light pole, and it knocked out blocks of customers without power for a long period of time. What we're developing is self-healing networks. So when those accidents occur, and they will happen, when someone hits a pole, it really isolates it to the immediate area of the pole, recirculating power so it doesn't impact customers as much. And that also includes businesses as well, because electricity is a vital part of keeping the economy going. So grid modernization is a big part of what we're doing. That also includes burying our power lines underground. So there's underground line construction opportunities. There's the development of substations and protecting those substations. And that part gets in part to physical and cyber security. These substations are very vital assets in the delivery of power. So we really rely upon those assets being held safe. So we're installing cameras, we're installing bulletproof fencing around them. You'd be amazed what some of the abuse that some of these facilities take to ensure that power is continuous to our customers. And then there's a telecommunication component to that as well. The next big area I'm quite sure many of you have heard about is coal ash remediation. So we're closing many of our fossil plants. We have a plan to be carbon free by the year 2050. Closing these plants plays a major role in that. We're gradually getting to the point where the fossil plants will not be needed, and we'll rely much more on renewable sources. And these opportunities are taking place in North and South Carolina. It involves a wide array of skill sets. We'll need construction-related services, dewatering services, if you're familiar with landfill type services that's needed. And there are many different types of requirements associated with coal ash remediation. We've been doing some outreach events for the past year and a half. We've held several in North Carolina. We've done some in the Midwest as well as Florida. While we don't have any coal plants there, we are making suppliers there and aware that we have opportunities available, and we have an interest in those suppliers participating. So, and we will continue with that. We are planning on doing an outreach event, a virtual one, in the June, July timeframe in all three markets, the Carolinas, Midwest, as well as Florida, and definitely get in contact with me about that. And I have my contact information later in the presentation. We're installing smart poles. And what a smart pole is, we take a traditional light pole, we're installing brand new LED lighting on that pole. We're making space on that pole for AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, all your cellular providers. They're installing their equipment on the poles as well. We're installing video cameras on those poles, as well as, in some cases, even if a gunshot occurs within a certain given area, there's detection devices can be applied to that pole as well. So it's not the typical light pole that you probably grew up with in your front yard that was in the neighborhood. particularly in downtown areas. We're going to be installing these in many major cities. So there's a big conversion going on from your typical pole that just provided light to now that's really just a pole of different types of technology. So we'll be looking for suppliers to help us with that. The latest area of innovation has to do around battery storage. So the sun doesn't always shine. So that is one of the drawbacks to solar panels. And the wind doesn't always blow. So that's one direct to our wind generation. But battery storage technology is an area that is moving ever so fast. We are doing major projects in the Carolinas around battery storage technology, and it's not that technical when you really look at the application of it. It's no more than a glorified car battery strung together and tied back into our system. But the batteries are very powerful. The source of the batteries is primarily at this point out of South Korea. The technology is moving so fast. The power of the batteries are changing virtually every 6 months. So it's that part of it is evolving quickly. But the building, the array of batteries and stringing them together is not very difficult and not very hard to get into. It's just the ability to obtain the batteries. And we're doing that as turnkey projects in the Carolinas, Florida, as well as the Midwest. We have an upcoming opportunity on property restoration. So when Duke crews go out, they come to your yard, have to work on a piece of equipment. If there's damages done from landscaping standpoint, we're going to be signing some new contracts, a variety of contracts in every region to have suppliers who actually maintain those areas, go back and correct our customers' properties. We also have some opportunities coming up with survey and mapping, GIS opportunities. So definitely be aware of those. Okay. A couple other areas that's not listed here. We just went out to bid for commercial lighting. Commercial lighting is a big part of what we do. We offer it for commercial customers, but we also offer it to cities and other municipalities for their needs. So when the city of Charlotte, the city of Greensboro, we may go in, they may request us to come in and retrofit their lighting to LED from the old style. We're doing a lot of that. We went through the first round of contracts, but we're looking to do more down the road from that point of view. There's also drone technology. We're using drones to view power lines, to visualize what the damage is instead of someone actually getting in a bucket truck, which is dangerous to do anyway, and be around high voltage lines. We're doing that with drones to get a visual of what the damages may be on those lines. One of the areas that we are in critical need of, we need some competition in the underground locating space. And what underground locating is, you've seen maybe a truck come by where there's power lines that runs from the street to your house. They'll come out and mark different colors in your yard, signifying where the gas line is, where the power line is. We're looking for companies who can help us with that. There's one major player in the market that kind of dominates that, but we think there's definitely room for other players to make that more competitive. It's not a high-tech business. It's a man in a truck with cans of spray paint, basically what it boils down to, and a tool to identify where the gas lines may be as well as the electric lines. So we're needing help there. Looking at some of our other projects, you may have heard about the Atlantic Coast Pipeline. We're in partnership with Dominion Resources. Dominion is a member of the CVMSDC as one of our corporate partners. So we partner with them to build a pipeline from West Virginia to Robeson County, North Carolina, Lumberton area. And that project has started. It's currently stalled at this point in time, awaiting a Supreme Court decision, but we think that ruling will be favorable. And we're going to start back on the construction of that as soon as we get grant approval. But there are numerous opportunities around that Atlantic Coast Pipeline. And Dallas Simmons, the supplier diversity manager of Dominion, is the primary contact for that. Many of you probably met Dallas at some of our CVMSDC events. Okay. Also, we're kicking off an energy management project for the Department of Defense at Shaw Air Force Base. So we're looking for suppliers who are skilled in energy efficiency. We're making the use of energy more efficient at the power bases in terms of providing equipment to drive down their cost of energy usage. There's been ongoing projects at Fort Bragg. That's a gas infrastructure upgrade there. Fort Bragg, they called us in, the Department of Defense, with our expertise from a gas standpoint, because on base, their gas infrastructure, it was really failing. There was leaks. It was old. So we're going in and doing a lot of retrofitting and improving the gas system there. And we're also building an electrified natural gas facility in Robeson County, North Carolina. And so there's engineering, construction, and other related services needed in building that facility. Okay. Next, we'll talk about our Metro Tower project in downtown Charlotte. This is one that we're really excited about, the Metro Tower project. If those of you who have visited Charlotte before, we have an iconic building now, the Duke Energy Tower. It kind of stands out, different colors at night. But we're building another building across the street from it, between it and the Harvey Grant African American Cultural Center, right next door to it. It's going to be the new Duke Energy Metro Tower. So we've set up 2 general contractor relationships on this particular new building. This building is going to take, we have employees spread out in downtown Charlotte in 4 to 5 different buildings. We're going to all consolidate into one for obviously savings in terms of from a real estate standpoint. And Batson Cook is the exterior general contractor. And this is what we are in need of now. We held an online virtual event with them on Tuesday morning. That event is available on YouTube if you want to go out there and see that and visit that event. Tanja Graham of our team participated in that event as well. But we're looking for people who can provide drywall, paint. You see the list there. Make sure it goes on and on. Those opportunities are available now. And if you're interested or know someone who's interested, definitely reach out to Batson Cook for those opportunities. Or if you want to reach out to me after this presentation, and I can give you the contact information for the individual for that. But we're excited about that. There are diversity requirements on this project. And we're definitely looking for holding these companies accountable for delivering diversity as it associated with this new office tower. That is the exterior. The next slide we're going to talk about is the interior portion. This is one that we're very proud of as well. So when we're putting together the packages for the bidding on this with general contractors, we require that each partner brought a minority partner to the table. The winning bid was DPR and McFarland Construction. McFarland Construction is a member of CVMSDC. The runner-up bid was a company that also included Metcon, who is another MBE that's a part of our organization. So we're very proud of that. That's due to kick off towards the end of the year. Once the exterior of the project is completed, we're starting focusing now on the interior. Those same similar needs, drywall, flooring, you name it, lighting, all of that is a part of that. We don't have those packages at the time, but we will be making those available as soon as we're ready to hit the ground running with the interior part of the project once the exterior is completed. And the exterior will be completed by December of this year. So yeah, we're definitely proud of that. Okay. Before we complete here, I want to talk a little bit about our relationship with the National Minority Supplier Development Council and the value that it brings to corporate members like Duke Energy. We value the certification piece that we know the suppliers that come to the table are certified MBE. We appreciate their outreach effort in conducting events. We're used to getting together face-to-face, but because of the COVID-19 situation, we're having to we're having to do it virtually, but we definitely appreciate that. And we appreciate their impact on the community, particularly communities of color, that they're having in terms of bringing diverse suppliers, capable diverse suppliers to the table. It has been demonstrated in this presentation so far. But just want to kind of highlight some of the things that's going on within the council and how we're currently working with some of the council members. When it comes to staffing and our needs from a staff augmentation standpoint and payrolling, we have CVMSDC members, ASAP that's doing our payrolling at Duke, APC that's definitely involved in some of our staffing requirements, Thomas Enterprise and Lewis Companies in some of our logistics efforts. And from a construction standpoint, as I mentioned, Metcon and Fallen play a major role in that. Some of our major partners, sometimes opportunities aren't direct with Duke, and we work with a third party to make those opportunities available. So when it comes to staffing, the guiding group manages that for us. When it comes to facility maintenance and light construction, and as well as landscaping services, that would be Jones Lang LaSalle. We use a company called Wesco. Wesco manages our MRO and products that we need to run our business. So I can provide all of the information to you. Just reach out to me for contact information for opportunities at Duke Energy, but it will be through our prime contractors. Also, we are a national member of NMSDC, and we use some of the largest members of the NMSDC family, the MBEs, who help keep our business running. I'm sure many of you have heard of Worldwide Technology. They're the largest African-American owned firm here in the United States, and they provide IT services for Duke. High Towers Petroleum is a company that's had a long-term relationship with Duke Energy and has done outstanding things for us in terms of providing fuels, gasoline, for us, biofuels to Duke Energy. Our business is really impacted by the weather, probably more so than any others. We have to get our customers up and running. And many of these companies like High Towers benefits when things are extremely cold and we need that fuel. High Towers right there on the spot provide that fuel for us. Other companies include MasTec. They are one of the largest Hispanic-owned firms providing wind, solar, as well as transmission distribution services. Is a major player with Duke Energy. When it comes to call centers, we use a company called Alorica, who's part of the NMSDC family. So as you can see from our current interaction with the National Minority Supply Development Council and how we work together with our corporate partners, with MDEs, we share information, particularly between the utilities. We work with the Edison Electric Institute. If they have a supplier, they send it our way, and we do the same. So it's an area that we definitely have had quite a bit of impact. To wrap up the conversation, I want to talk about COVID-19 and how it's impacted our business. I'm currently working from home. I think it's about the 5th or 6th week now, so that's been a definite change. And many of you are also particularly on the corporate side and maybe some of our MBEs as well. So that's had quite an impact on our business, but it's also created some opportunities. And I want to make you aware of some of those opportunities that we are seeing at this time. One of the biggest challenges from a COVID-19 standpoint and the PPEs, the personal protection equipment needed to run our business, is the availability of the items. If you watch the news, it is a very confusing situation. It's not good enough just to have an order in for items that's being made in a foreign country in hopes that you might get those items. That doesn't help us now in what we need. It may help us in the future, and we're going to look at that. But we have some immediate needs, either hopefully you can help us with, or you may know others who can help us with. So we're looking for alcohol and other chemicals needed or the manufacturing of alcohol. Sanitizers, hand sanitizers, a big part of it. Disinfectant wipes. Nitrile gloves is another item that we are in need of. We're looking for FDA-approved masks. In particular, now Duke is buying many of these products, and we're using them for our own internal operations, but in some cases, we're helping out some of our nonprofit philanthropic organizations who don't have the resources to get those items. So we're helping them out as well. So we're looking for masks that have a clear see-through where lip reading can be done for our hearing impaired. So as something, before I heard that, I didn't really think about that, but there is a need to help our hearing impaired, that the mask, the face can't be totally covered. The lip portion must be exposed, so we can we have employees who are hearing impaired. So there may be a requirement to wear masks by all of our teammates, but they have to have a means of communication. So we're looking for companies that can provide some masks with a clear see-through area for lip reading. We're looking for fire retardant half masks as well, and also looking for thermometers, preferably the kind non-touch or disposable. We are in talks with one CVMSDC member looking at face shields. This particular CVMSDC member has recently obtained a government contract to produce a high volume of fire retardant face shields. We're hoping that works out and we can get something moving on that. I can't reveal that information at the time, but being a manufacturer in this space, there's definite benefits in that, in particular if they're in our service territory. We're even more interested from that standpoint. So that concludes my presentation. Definitely register with us at www.duke-energy.com. You can see our registration location here on this final slide. Definitely view our website if you want to understand what's going on at Duke, what projects we're working on, what's going on in the industry. Definitely check out the duke-energy.com site. My contact information is there. Reach out to me, particularly when it comes to the various areas. As I stated before, my primary focus is transmission and distribution, but we have a more than capable team that we can connect you with in terms of providing whatever it is from products and services to run our business. We can get you in contact with the right individual who's managing that from a supplier diversity standpoint. So with that concludes my presentation portion, and we're ready for some questions.
Yes, thank you so much, Andrew. So if you have questions, please post them in the chat box. I am ready for you, Andrew. I already have a few of them here for you. So we're going to shift gears a little bit from talking about COVID-19. Got a question here. Any supply chain related needs right now as it relates to logistics, international air, ocean transportation opportunities, specifically for Class 4 MBEs or veteran-owned MBEs? So any supply chain needs right now?
Actually, in the latter part of 2019, we went out to market for our logistical needs. We included several CVMSDC members as a part of that bidding process. We're still working from it. We kind of changed the dynamic of the relationship. In the past, we had gone through a third party to provide logistics needs, whether it be ground transportation or by ships or whatever. But we changed in those relationships instead of being third party to being direct with Duke. And so we put that in place. We should be knowing something on the rollout on that pretty soon. So there's not any immediate opportunity because we've just gone to market and we're just ready to change over to that model. And so hopefully, if I met you or our team members met you within the last 6 months, you were a part of that. If not, I'm afraid there are not any opportunities at this time. If something else happened to pop up because of the COVID-19 that possibly some of our current providers can't handle, then we're more than open to looking at that. So definitely reach out to me is what I would say.
Okay, so the next question, we talked a lot about supplies and the physical needs. Is there any needs for professional services? And if so, what are they or what you currently contract as it relates to professional services?
There are ongoing needs for professional service, and it's really tied to the existing contracts in place and when those contracts are up. When those contracts are up, and that's when we go out to market for those. In some instances, in some of the professional services, we have outsourced that to some third parties. So when it comes to some of our HR needs, Hewitt Aon manages that for us, so the opportunity may not be directly with Duke. In some instances it may be. When it comes to IT consulting and IT related services, Guided is one of the companies that we use, but there are some direct opportunities with Duke as well. So it just depends upon what it is and where we are in the contracting process.
Okay. So the next question, does Duke have an interest in automation, robotic, in quotations, of manual workflow processes? For example, manually combining spreadsheets. So is there any need for assistance with automating processes?
Technology and innovation is always going to be a part of it. We're looking for companies that can help drive the cost out of our business. It's an imperative. It's what our customers want. It's what our regulators want. So we're definitely interested in hearing what those opportunities for us may be. Robotics play a big part of what we do now in many instances, but it's something that we're open to hearing more about, more specifically how those applications would be applied and how does it work well in our industry. What work well in one industry may not work as well in others. It's just depends upon looking at it and how we can work together to make that happen.
Okay. Going back to professional services specifically, I know you said for HR is pretty much handled by Hewitt and Ion, but what about specifically for employee benefits? Is that the same for employee benefits and for online and virtual training?
Wow. Let me handle the employee benefits piece. They are one of many providers. Fidelity has a portion of that. We have a big insurance risk part of our portfolio as well, where there are a number of major players in that. Professional services, so look at the financial side. One of the areas that I really haven't talked about is one area that we've been very successful for in the last couple of years is when we go to market for stock offerings, bonds. We've done some deals where there's been only diverse suppliers. We've had minority, women, veteran-owned business only participate in those bond offerings or stock offerings. So that's one of the areas from a financial standpoint where we've been very deliberate in saying, okay, we want to look for diverse suppliers here. One of the other areas from a legal standpoint, which has proven to be a little more challenging, we have an initiative in place where it's not necessarily a supplier diversity initiative, but it's a diverse attorney initiative. So what we will do if we're working with a legal firm, we're saying we're looking for X percentage of those cases to be handled by a diverse attorney within that firm. And we're going to set goals and hold that company to those goals. That's been our approach there. So when you look at the professional services piece, it takes on many different directions. There's many different opportunities from that standpoint, but they all look somewhat different. The procurement of them are different. There may be direct opportunities with Duke, and I said before, most likely it may be with other companies. And that includes, we start looking at the accounting piece. Most large corporations are dealing with the big four, the big five. Well, we're leaning on those big four, big five to also use diverse companies to help manage that Duke part of the business. So we're working with an MBE that's part of the Houston Council that does a lot of the auditing on some of our employee stats and how we're doing in terms of making those reports to the federal government. They've been doing that for us for a number of years that we've been involved with them. So it's kind of spread out. In some areas we're a little more challenged than others. Some areas we need to improve more than what we're doing now. I want to make it sound like it's all a rosy picture. There are some pockets of the companies that we just need to, from a supplier diversity standpoint, we need to just get more actively engaged. But we have the commitment of our leadership to make that happen, and we're taking it head on.
Okay, so our next question, do you work with any third-party sourcing partners for tailspin, non-strategic spend management?
We do, and that biggest one is called Wesco. When you look at our MRO, our poles, and managing our poles, our lighting, small components, you name it, nuts, bolts, we rely upon a third-party purchasing agency to help us with that piece. And Wesco is it. We have strict diversity goals on that contract. It is a bigger advantage if you are a manufacturer versus a distributor, because they're already a distributor. Sometimes the distributor model doesn't work as good, and it's tough for, regardless whether you're diverse or not, to play in that arena. But if you're a manufacturer of that product, or you have access to unique pricing of a commodity that falls within our Wesco window, then there's a great opportunity of you doing business with us, particularly on MRO. But yeah, Wesco would be one such model. We have another model that's going on down in Florida that is a little different when it comes to engineering. In the past, we've been managing and doing the construction and the procurement of products on our transmission projects. In Florida, we have a unique capital project program where we've turned it all over to a third party, that being Burns and McDonald's. They're responsible for the engineering of that project, we're responsible for procurement as well as construction. There again, we put diversity goals on that contract for those suppliers to reach out, for suppliers can reach out to them for opportunities to utilize diverse suppliers. So many of our Florida suppliers have been very active in some of those opportunities and getting involved there. That model has worked out, to my understanding, fairly well. We may be using it in other parts of our business, maybe bringing it to the Carolinas, to the Midwest, I don't know. But that was one of our first major ones that we did that way from a third-party electric construction standpoint, that we actually have a third party manage the whole thing for us, engineering, procurement, and construction.
Okay, so talking about going back a little bit to transportation, how are you utilizing transportation in an effort in your expansion and growth that you're having, I think, across the country? How are you handling utilizing transportation?
While we're doing more direct one-on-one transportation with Duke and the provider, there's also an area where we work with third parties as well. When it comes to that, we're looking for third-party companies that have assets. Access is a must. So we're not looking for somebody who can just organize and work with other trucking companies. We're looking for people who actually have the assets, the trucks to deliver with it, and also the trailers, the high boys, or whatever it may be, to deliver the products and services we need from point A to point B. One of the MBEs that's helped us a lot with that, particularly in the Carolinas, has been Thomas Enterprises and the Lewis Company, moving materials from one part of the state to another. So they've been very instrumental in helping us with that. So the logistics piece does kind of vary depending upon the jurisdiction. It depends upon what entity is doing the shipping. One of the projects that we're working on now that I'm a part of, we're seeking to do a microgrid project in the state of Texas for the University of Texas at Arlington. As a part of that, there is a big logistical piece because it's going to include gas as the primary generating fuel for the project, but it's also going to include some solar. It's going to involve moving equipment from one part of the state to the other. So that was a little different in that the state of Texas is saying, we want diverse suppliers. We want diverse suppliers from the state of Texas. And so each environment is a little different. Each project is a little different. I'm sure those of you who've traveled, particularly across the country, even some in some of the Carolinas, you've seen some of these very large wind projects, very large blades where it takes them, they are monumental size, and they are hauled on the back of the truck from point A to point B, sometimes from a port. It could be on the West Coast or it could be on the East Coast to where we're building that wind generating facility at. So there are some logistical needs from that standpoint as well for some of your oversized pieces of equipment that's used particularly in the renewables process when it comes to wind construction.
Okay, so our last question, Andrew, is pretty much talking about points of contact. I know you shared your contact information, and we have other members of the supplier diversity team that's on board. Is there a way to get in contact, I guess specifically with the buyers or for the particular areas, like professional services, the person who handles supply chain, or should we all be directed to contacting you and you will facilitate that?
At this point, just go ahead and contact me, and I will get it to my capable team members. And that's typically how we work. We support each other. I can't be in Florida, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, and those places at all times. So I really rely on their support to make this happen. As when it comes to supplier engagement, we rely upon Brian Umstead to help us work with those prime suppliers to identify opportunities for their suppliers. So yes, definitely utilize the contact information that's on the screen. Reach out to me. I will get you in contact with Bernice Walker, who manages the generation part of our business and the gas portion, and Tanya Graham, who manages the major project as well as the enterprise needs. And most of those questions associated with professional services, those flow through our enterprise team.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, thank you, Andrew and the Duke team, Tanja and Bernice, for joining us today. We appreciate your support of MBEs and CVMSDC. The replay for today's session will be available in about 48 hours on the cvmsdc.org website, so you can listen to this broadcast at any time during the replay. Please make sure you register and join our next Straight Talk session that's coming up next month with J.E. Dunn. We have these sessions scheduled out until 2021, so they're happening pretty much monthly. So please do not hesitate in going ahead of time and registering for the sessions. I want to also give an opportunity for Dominique. I'm sure she's on the line. I'm sure she has some comments for us, and let us know what she would like for us to know from a CVMSDC standpoint. Dominique? Okay, maybe she's still on mute, or did she drop off? Okay, she may be gone already. But again, thank you for joining us for today's session. And again, please make sure you register for the session that's happening next with J.E. Dunn. Thank you all very much and have a wonderful rest of your afternoon.